Welcome to the Purple Portal. It is so delightful to be back live with you all. This is Elaine Bartlett, and it is a beautiful day here in South Florida. My thought for you to open with is, so, if you just let thoughts and feelings be without attributing beliefs or power to them, they aren't going to hurt you. One more time. So, if you just let thoughts and feelings be without attributing belief or power to them, they aren't going to hurt you. And when upset happens, you'll learn how to accept life as it is. And you'll see occurrences happening rather than it's something personal happening to you. Because when you think something's happening to you, it causes nothing but resistance. And I know a lot of resistance is out there. I've been through my own mud puddle of it yesterday. And you can't help it. Look, we have to learn to help it. We have to learn to quickly identify it, embrace it, accept it, and let it go. Or my favorite words, drop it. Is it challenging? Especially at the beginning of any new exercise. We're so used to holding on that we don't even realize the danger we're in because of the fact that our little fingers are paralyzed practically from the holding on experience. So we have a lot to talk about today, and I hope that many of you got to listen in last week with my sort of lovely soft approach to serenity. If you didn't, pull it up sometime when you're out and about and just need to be serenity-ized. It will make you feel very good. And here we go. I've given a couple of times now in the past two weeks or so my special lemon drink. And I have had so many calls on this or emails or texts that I have to finally put this out. This is the end. I'm not doing this again. I think you have to understand where I'm coming from in this special lemon drink and adjust it accordingly. You are you. You have your own sacred temple. Your temple may or may not need the exact proportions or exactly what I'm using. So the original remedy was to rebalance my pH levels so that I had a better balance of acid and alkaline. Why would we want to do that? That is how you keep your body very healthy and away from any nasty disease that begins with the letter C. So you keep yourself away from it with a balanced acid and alkaline setting in your balance. So to achieve that, here's what I was doing. Bought some lemons, organic. Why organic? You just stand a slightly better shot at not being poisoned. That's the story with organic. I had some bottled water. Once again, in South Florida, I will not drink the tap water. It scares the bejeebers out of me. So it depends on where you live and how clean your water is. So I warmed up some water. I really didn't bring it to a boil. And I'm taking my time so that you all understand why I would do something or not. I know that warm water is better for you. It's better for your kidneys. It's not such a shock to the kidneys to have room temperature or warm water. So I warmed the water about a cup. If it was 7 ounces versus 8, 9 ounces versus 8, it's all okay. You might like a little more water or a little less water. Do your thing. Then I had squeezed my whole fresh lemon, okay? Took the whole lemon. I don't use bottled lemon juice or anything like that. Squeezed it, put it into the water. To this, I added anywhere from a half a teaspoon to a full teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon, depending on how the wind was blowing that day, which was the right proportion. And that was a quarter or half or 3/4 or a full teaspoon of baking soda. Good old Arm & Hammer. A new box. Do yourself a favor. Spend the 89 cents on a new box rather than the one that's been in your refrigerator for 6 years. To that, I added, very simply, apple cider. Now, many of you wondered, why not apple cider vinegar? Well, I suppose that might be better for you. Truthfully, probably is. It's a little more alkaline. However, I'm rather finicky. I can't always get that down. And the object was to get the baking soda and lemon down my throat. So I just added a little apple cider. The store that I happen to go to in South Florida, believe it or not, in the middle of summer, still carries fresh apple cider. It's not available in all areas of this country. So you might not even need the apple cider. My sweet tooth is having a difficult time in its demise. So that's why I would add that. And some days I would add 1/4 of a teaspoon of this Manuka honey. Now, I buy what is called the 20 factor or the 20 grade because that's the health grade. That's like the energy boost to my immune system with its real boost factor. Sometimes I add it, sometimes I don't. Today so far, I haven't had one of my lemon drinks. Some days I do, some days I don't. I don't do very well following every day some sort of dogmatic religion, like drink the lemon drink. I'm just not wired that way. For those of you that are wired that way, have a great time. For those of you who have a serious issue with cancer, you need it every day, probably 3 times a day, to get that alkaline right where it needs to be in balance. So that's the end of my lemon drink story now. And I hope you all got it and understand I'm me. I have to do things lightly, delicately, not heavy-handed. It's just the way I'm wired. Some of you are wired completely differently. As a matter of fact, all of you are wired completely differently because that's our thumbprint, that's our imprint here. If there is any questions about this lemon drink, speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, and so the number to speak now is 321-806-3159. 321-806-3159. And if you're very brave, well, actually not so brave, but still want to contact me about this, you can also go on my email, purpleportal@gmail.com. I do hope that some of you received my blog yesterday, and I will explain that because I think it must have been a mystery to many of you. But a few months ago, I was very devout at blogging, and then all of a sudden it just dropped away. Well, over the weekend with my snake encounters, I thought, this is worth a blog. It meant a lot to me, and it takes me a long time to set these things up and to present it in a way that can enlighten you and lighten up your life. So at any rate, I put it into my Word in my computer, and then I thought, there has to be a way to put this through my major mailing list on GoDaddy. I'd never done it before. I didn't think it was possible, but I began poking around, and all of a sudden, shazam, it lifted itself onto the page. So without, and it sort of took off without me. So without any, notice to you, and I hope it wasn't too abrasive, that it was a simple blog. Now, several of you have actually responded to that blog. It's like, I got the memo. I understand. Mostly these were people who have seen my blogs when it was coming through my own website. And so they identified it right away. If you didn't see it, it's worth a read. Yes, it looks kind of long, but it does move along quickly. That's my temperament. Move it along, keep up, and read it. And read it with thought and see what it brings to you. It's a gift. Enjoy the gift. All right, my next topic, before I can get on to the real topic here, which is going to be about the seed year. Very quickly, over the weekend, I had shared with a couple of new gal pals my DVD of the movie Vaxxed, Vaxxed. It is in DVD form for any of you who wish to purchase it. It was very fascinating to see the reaction and the responses of these two new friends. One was very open to it. The other open, questioning. Questioning is good. We need questioning. And all in all, it was a successful showing. The next day, I spoke with one of my new friends, and she said something that was very profound, and I gave it a lot of thought. She mentioned a mutual acquaintance, and she mentioned she had shared with that acquaintance what she had done the night before. She saw this movie, and you think she'd like to see it, etc. And here was, I don't know if I've gotten the quote exactly, but it's close enough. I don't need to see it. I don't want to know. There's nothing I can do about it anyway. And I thought, wow. And now this, please, is a quote-unquote spiritual person, which, of course, makes my skin crawl, but nonetheless, there's nothing I can do about it. And I thought, well, I actually spoke up and said, wait just a second. There's, of course, something to do about it. You get the information. You research it some more if it doesn't make sense to you. You research it until you're clear one way or another. Either it's the biggest hoax or it's got some merit. And if it has some merit, then you, without ever saying another word, stand very quietly about the idea that too many vaccines too fast are harmful. That's the thrust of the message. Too much at one time. The message is not, don't ever do that. So it was very, very interesting. The corruption that is exposed by the whistleblower in this documentary it takes your breath away. Well, why would I want to know about corruption on the planet? So I can recognize it, steer clear of it, wish them well. They're on an agenda. I don't know what their agenda is, but steer clear. So again, I remind you, information is power. You can change your frequency. And that's how you do it. You stand crisp and clean and clear in, no, I'm not swallowing everything you're telling me. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. No, thank you. I'm not going to take that flu shot this year. There's too much aluminum in it. And aluminum, yes, it does lead to Alzheimer's. Would you not enjoy that piece of information? You can still have your flu shot if you're convinced that's for you. But go at it with an open mind and an open heart. No judgment. Just get the facts and nothing but the facts. And there we have it. And then the next night, I had dinner with a couple of different friends. And in this, it was a mixed company group. There were a couple of men involved. And I took a deep breath and I thought, okay, am I going to be brave and bring up a topic over dinner that's got a little substance to it, or will it be kind of the same old conversation that is really rather tedious, uninspiring, and dull? So I took a deep breath and gently, calmly said, oh, I know how it was. One gal actually operates a soup kitchen, and she was sharing a movie that someone had donated, so the people at the soup kitchen had a free afternoon at the movies. And that gave me the introduction to, well, the movie I saw last night was not quite as docile, and it was Vaxxed. And you could see arms being folded across the chest, hostility by anybody who even had heard of it. And the two gentlemen at the table went into like a comatose state of rejection and fear. It was amazing to watch. Absolutely amazing. However, the bottom line to me was, I felt very comfortable afterward that I had had the courage, gently, without pushing anything down anyone's throat, to simply bring it up as a point of conversation. Because without conversation, there can't be any growth. You're on the same stale stuff over and over and over. So you have full permission to bring up things that are thought-provoking at a dinner table. You might not be appreciated, and you might be rejected. You might even be spit upon. And I will happily tell you, do it anyway. And if anybody has any comment about Vaxxed, geez, I hope some of you have seen it. Actually, I had gotten an extra copy, and I had sent it up to New Jersey to my sister. And she hadn't had the opportunity to watch it until I shared with her, geez, I showed this thing. And it triggered in her, she sat down to watch it. And I said, well, did your husband sit down? He loves movies. He's a movieaholic. Oh, no, he would have nothing to do with it. He wouldn't even come out of his room. Like, whoa. Okay. However, her response was very heartening, very uplifting. And she was like, I just can't believe this. I cannot believe it. This is mind-bending. And so there it is. So gently, information is getting out there. I will say this about the DVD. Having seen it on the big screen is more comprehensive. It actually trails the people a little bit more in depth. And it's probably about a half hour longer than the DVD because of that. I was very happy to have that sort of insider information. And so if it comes to a neighborhood theater, please go see it. Just because you deserve to be in charge of your health and maintain healthiness. All right, onward and upward into, ta-da, the new year. It'll be interesting next week, next Tuesday when we're together. It's actually called The Day Out of Time. For those of you who know my appreciation and alignment with the energy of Lakshmi, it's a bit like cleaning the decks, being still, getting ready for that new frequency. So you're all to tune in next Tuesday. However, keep it a gentle day for yourself as best you can. All right, so what's happening is we are moving out of the storm. And it has been some storm. And the storm started July 26th, 2016. And it is still the year of the blue spectral storm. Now, this is galactic information. Those of you who have worked with me, we have been through astrological information, feng shui information, lots of different cycles and calendars. this is yet again another one. It's very forceful, though, and gives you enormous insight into your role as a citizen of the galaxy. So it's very huge. So I'm going to give you, if you want, to purchase yourself the Galactic calendar. The Galactic calendar is I'm not going to lighten it up for you. It took me several months to begin to process it correctly. I rarely have a teacher in body, and this yet again was another one of those circumstances. So I had to kind of pull it apart and go gently. If I could ever figure out how to do a little webinar, jeepers creepers, I would begin probably right here so that we could have information galactically all together. So if you want the Galactic calendar, here's how you do it. You go to the number 13. So 13 moon, MOON.com. It's also available in another site called Law, LAW, of Time, TIME.org. So it's available in both sites. I just went on that Law of Time site before I came here today because in tandem with the calendar, I use something called Star Traveler's 13 Moon Almanac of Synchronicity. It's called Star Traveler's 13 Moon Almanac of Synchronicity. And it's a book, and it complements the calendar, and it kind of takes it just a little deeper, which pleases me. Some of you may be perfectly okay one way or the other, one tool or the other. I'd say for a beginner, if you had to get just one tool, get the 13 Moon calendar. The Law of Time.org is where you will go for the 13 Moon Almanac, lawoftime.org. I think you got that piece. The calendar, now I've ordered that a while ago. To the best of my recollection, it's about $22. The book, now they are printed singularly, so as you order it, it's now printed. Between the printing and, I don't know, everything else about it, it's $38 and something cents. So consider it's a $40 bill. But it's, again, if you're an investigator, these are tools that you would appreciate and would help you on your journey. So there we have it. So let me just give you a little recap on the blue spectral storm year. The whole frequency was 100% focused on transformation with a capital T. In case you were sleeping at the switch, transformation was the name of the game. And you need to look carefully in this last week to see what in your world needed to be dissolved, released, and what structures did you need to let go of. And it's so fascinating to me that under this kind of frequency, my new mantra moved from let it go, which I was pretty good into that mantra, into simply drop it. And through my diligence of drop it, transformations, they just poured through me. The year of the storm represented chaos, total non-stability. And if you have a good memory and you think back to July, there was a lot of action around two political candidates. Total chaos, a total sense of non-stability. The whole purpose of the year, of the frequency of the year, is about liberation, which from things which don't serve you anymore. So if you're still stuck in your stuff, you missed my memo throughout the year of drop it. So you got 1 week, kids, to get rid of that which no longer serves you. The year was about breaking down. It was actually from breaking down for a breakthrough. It was a year, the total opposite of control. It was the opposite of form and definition. It was the opposite of containment and putting things into neat, tidy boxes. So if you were trying to line your life up correctly, I would be very surprised if it happened. Because the focus was just drop it. With all this dropping, and I can attest to this, at times it felt like total chaos. Very uncomfortable, very scary. If I drop it, then what? You know, we don't like that sense of, if I drop that job I've hated forever, then what? And there's all sorts of resistance. I can't drop that job. My family needs to eat. I can't drop that job. It'll disappoint my parents. Whatever your story is, just a story. So the vulnerability in this past year has kind of been over the top. And the whole point of the frequency loves you, no matter what it's doing, no matter what it looks like. It was to give you the strength to free everything up and to allow energy to move as it needs to move. Your energy needs to move without blockage and restriction. Why would that possibly be? You take any Qigong course anywhere in the world, and you will learn blockage caused by resistance equals disease. It's just that simple. Every single disease in your body is due to blockage, one way or another. So the year was geared for you to be free. The year could also be understood as one of constructive, as the constructive force of destruction. That's such a cool phrase. The constructive force of destruction. You know, we look at destruction and think that's not so good. Well, it happens to be the birthing of the very good. The blue storm frequency brought a sense of lightning and thunder and wind and rain and catharsis. It was the energy of pure, uncontained, catalytic energy to shake everything up for total transformation. I'm hoping you're sitting there taking a quick review. How did you do? How did you do? Did this storm blow every facet of your personal life absolutely apart? Did you allow it, or did you hold on so tightly that there's actually been no shift and now you're sick? Which way did you handle the storm? The storm not only was blowing in everyone's personal life, it was blowing in communities you were a part of. So many of you, your friendships are gone. It blew the communities apart. And actually, and we can't quite see it, it shifted frequencies that can now get to us for the larger planetary scene. So a lot happened that we couldn't see. And that excites me based on where we're going. So everything has been shaken and shattered in order to wake us up. We are so loved that they're going to send in a powerful storm to shake us up. And if you look around, and many people, we say the same thing. There is a complacency, there is a resistance, there is a reluctance to opening to a higher consciousness. And take this last week to peel the sleepy crust away from your eyes and trust that all of the chaos in your life is in service for a deeper revelation of who you really are, for a deeper emergence of truth. Again, so that you can come to a higher level of health. The other evening, one of the gentlemen guests that I was in the company of, he repeated a couple of times he was going to live to 100, and when he got to 100, he was going to live to 125. And at the time, I thought, oh, well, that's a fine goal. And as I stepped away, I couldn't help but think, it's our destiny to live. Death is not necessarily the destiny, although it's become the destiny on this planet for most inhabitants. But it doesn't need it to be that kind of frequency. But in order to have this, just put down your uniform when it's complete, you need to really be in touch with your emotional body. You need to have made friends with all of the subconscious fears and terrors. And I wasn't 100% convinced that this dear soul had any knowledge of that, nor any appreciation of the idea that he should embrace that kind of knowledge. And that was simply an observation, just, good luck. I do wish him good luck. If that's your wish, I'd like to see him in his body at 100 and 125, robust and vital and filled with good health and good energy. The only way you get that is an open heart, not an open mind, an open heart. So that's how you get to, that's what the deeper revelations were all about. That's what was happening with all the polarity on the planet, all of the push and pull of, I hate this and I hate your candidate and da-da-da. Well, that did not lead to a deeper revelation. It led to a deeper separation and therefore death. Death is hidden in separation. And you can say, well, I didn't die. You didn't, but some of your cells did, which would then disallow reaching the ripe old age of whatever you want. So, the energy we are transitioning into is totally different. After the energy of the spectral, seeming chaotic energy, we are headed into, and it just sounds so much gentler, we are stepping into the higher frequency of something called the yellow crystal seed year. That word crystal is such a relief from storm. So the energy of the crystal actually invites a higher order to descend. Now I've begun to contemplate, what the heck does that mean? So far, this is what I've gotten. Perhaps as you contemplate it, you'll reach other conclusions and insights and perceptions. So the higher order is a higher order of releasing. It's a higher order of thinking. It's a higher frequency, period. But then I took it a little further. Could it be that as we shift our frequency and indeed lighten up, we are easily connected once again, more fully, more visually, more knowingly with those entities who have attained the rank of a higher order? You know, in a bit, it's kind of like in the military. There's the humble private and there's the 5-star general. At what point does that private reach a platform within his consciousness to not be intimidated and to be able to sit down and break bread with the 5-star general, have some belly laughs, and enjoy life. The span seems, for those of you who know anything about the military, almost impossible. They're not going to do that. They're lowly peons, spit on. Well, when your consciousness shifts, and if you've survived the storm, which you have because you only have a week more, I believe we actually can connect to this higher order. Yesterday in the blog that I sent out, you got to understand, there's no piece of that. There's nothing that I say or do that's kind of without deep thought and reverence and meaning. And so I stuck in there references to the material that I've been embracing that actually has been embracing me. And yes, it's of a high-pitched caliber. It's a very high frequency, but it may touch one of you. So it was no accident that those things were thrown in. And the book, The Initiation, it certainly tapped me into a higher order of beings, easily. So easily, it's almost humorous. With that, with my conscious decision to align and communicate with the higher orders, which means I will be given higher orders. Look at that, okay? But it does require a shift yet again in what I'm putting into my mouth and mind. So, mouth, I had the wonderful good fortune of finding someone down here who is very aligned to my energy, and she's in the healing arts. And she has strongly encouraged me to eat this, not that, don't do that, nope, that's not your friend, don't do that. So I have a whole list of things now that have been dropped, drop it. And I'm more cognizant of what do I look at and what frequency is it triggering in me. And for example, driving up here today at a red light, the car in front of me had pasted along the back of his back rear window the words bounty hunters. You know, the words frightened me. And the frequency was so unsettling, I immediately thought, look away. Look at the building over there. Oh, isn't that lovely? Fine structure. I just didn't want to hold that frequency because I thought, what is this dear soul up to? And how many people is that affecting? Because it did not have a good feeling, I'll tell you that. So, crystal energy is the frequency of what we call complex stability. So it's going to be up to you to find things that stabilize you and keep you in the present. The crystal frequency focuses on cooperation and wholeness. It's the power of cooperating, and cooperating, number one, with our own higher wisdom, meaning our own conscience. How often does your conscience flick you on the forehead and you give it a swat and tell it to leave you alone? That you're not interested. And I've seen many people recently give it a swat. It's like, don't tell me. I'm like, okie dokie, that's your job to get up your mountain. The power is about learning how to become a conscious instrument of the higher order. A conscious instrument means that's what this year was about, letting it all go so that you're an empty reed, so that this higher magnificent frequency just can move through you and give out a lovely fragrance, unmitigated beauty. You become like a fine-tuned Stradivarius. It's also about the power of cooperating with one another in community. So those of you who are busy thinking, well, I'll cooperate with Tom, Dick, and Harry, but not, such and such and such. No, you're going to have to drop that in this next week so that you can step into this lovely crystal frequency, very light. So it's all about collaboration, cooperation, and bringing through a positive synergy. It's about learning to perceive your life like a living mandala. I don't know if any of you have ever seen or worked with the mandalas. They're exquisite. They radiate out energies and frequencies like ley lines and power lines. And every ray or spoke of this mandala is showing you that's lovely, but they're all interconnected, making a whole. With the object here to be like a wheel. So as you attune to these magical rays within yourself, you can go on a journey into a whole new domain of higher form, higher frequencies, therefore higher possibilities. This crystalline energy calls you to welcome this higher order. If you're going to be scaredy cat of the higher order, I think we need a little more storm in your life. It's time we embrace the light. It's time we get back to the essence of us, the light. It's not outside of you. It's been hidden quite nicely inside of you for a few thousand years, which is why it's a little bit tricky for us to pull it up and out now and honor it. But it's the cycle to do that. The power now is to align with the crystalline clarity of your own heart and allow your heart to guide you. People have shut down their heart. They've been working through the mind on this planet. And you see the difference very easily. You can see it in a person's talk, in their speech, in their posture. And when they're operating through the mind, that was all well and good. It brought us to a certain point in our evolution. It's just that, quite frankly, that cycle is over. And as you begin yet again, without any airy-fairy, new age, gobbledygook, sending you light and peace nonsense, you're going to show up more fully in your life. You're going to appreciate you. You're going to do you properly, without narcissism. You're going to rest and treat the temple with the respect it deserves. I just came across a fascinating piece of information this week. Your body is a consciousness. People treat their dogs and cats better than they treat their body. It's a living, breathing consciousness. And that set me on a whole different opening up of, body, I am going to really be much more conscious and appreciative of you and take better care of you. And I will take you for a walk, and I will give you the right nourishment and the right water. I will do that. You're conscious, you're living. Because as I do that, I am of better service, not only to myself, but to anybody who's sitting with me, to anybody on the entire planet. It's actually your piece of planetary service. And you'd be like, well, wait, I didn't do anything. Yes, you did. You took proper, loving, respectful care of yourself. And the more you do that, you will then easily see it in the other person, in the other you who is doing it, or the person who is not doing it. And without proselytizing, they may actually give you the opportunity to say what you're doing. Why is it that you have such a sparkle? What's happening here? My dear little I've been on this new plan. I'm always changing plans because I'm always upgrading. I want to be at the front of the plane in first class, and I'd like you to be up there with me. And the only way to do that is to upgrade your life ticket. Let's do this. So I've been upgrading all week in my thoughts, in my consciousness of what's going into my mouth. And I live in a condominium, and yesterday as I was coming or going, the dear little souls, the two husband and wife who live next door to me, she's not been feeling all that perky. And I really, as best I can, if her spirit is open to it, when she doesn't know it, I'm floating a little frequency of joyous love and health to her. And if she doesn't want it, it'll go somewhere else to whomever needs it. But she looked at me almost woebegone yesterday and said, "Oh, like you look so healthy." And I thought, okay, you can see it. And I used the power of my eyesight to bore that into her. And I said, "Oh, I walk a lot and I drink a lot of water." And she said, "Oh, I need to get back to walking." And I gently said, "Yes, you will. You'll build up to that again." And that's it. I didn't have to get on a soapbox. She'll do it as need be. But it was how I looked. It was what she saw that encouraged her. That's pretty cool. Your seed is to support another. And as you support yourself and each other, you will thrive and grow. So the seed part focuses on telling you to target precisely what you want to grow in your life. So be very careful where you're casting your intentions and your wishes, because the spirit of the wind will take those and plant them very firmly for you. So if your wishes are not focused and not loving, be careful. It will the negative ones will boomerang now with twice as much import. Your words, your thoughts, your actions, your intentions, they're all living seeds that you are constantly casting out into the field of pure potentiality. You really want to be ever more conscious of the choices you make, of the vibrations that you allow to move through you. That's what the seed year is about. Now, isn't that much softer and nicer than this storm, these dark clouds that have been raining on our head for a year? So let the past bury the past. Don't carry your storm into the new year. Why would you do that? People drag their baggage all around. You do not need a therapist to put your baggage down. Put it down. Today's the day. All right, I'll give you a week. Get cozy with, put it down, drop it. This is the cycle to really understand that your mind and heart are a living garden which needs tending and weeding and nourishment for anything that you want to see thrive and flourish. Now, I'm watching my clock, and I see we're kind of running down to the last few seconds here, the last 30 seconds. Next week, I'm going to bring forth any other thing I can possibly wrap my little heart around about seeding to give you better ideas and what to do. But in the meantime, will you just keep dropping it? Let it go. Don't drag your nonsense and don't share your nonsense. Just drop it. And you will feel so much lighter by the day we talk next week. So I'm looking forward to it. Drop it. Drop it. Again, drop it. I love you.